Okay, John, we are live. We are live. We are live. We are very alive. Hi.
Hi,
How
how
are
are you
you?
doing, my good friend?
Very good. Very good. And you? How are you doing?
I am fantastic. I'm really excited. You've been doing a couple of webinars lately, and I've given you private messages and a couple in some of the chat groups that we're a part of, and it's just the furniture's moving. Like I see what's happening, and like it just immediately things start changing. Like it.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that is true for me, is that when you actually have the answer, things immediately change. They
Yeah.
immediately improve. And that, like, it wasn't a, well, in 3 weeks it'll improve. It was a,
Yeah.
okay, holy crud.
Yeah.
And
Once you know, you gain control.
yeah,
Yes.
for sure.
Once you know, you gain control. And if you don't have control, it means not that only you don't know, it means that you have a lie and someone else is controlling you.
Well, my apologies.
No problem. Easy. Easy.
Yeah, for sure. So we've done this before. I had a lot of fun with it. You answered basically anything and everything that I had at that moment. Of course, now there have been some additional things going on. We're seeing, you're seeing a lot of the states here in the U.S., they're starting to actually open up, and there's movement. From your point of view, what should the timeline be towards getting the economy opened up and getting back into as close to a normal as possible? What's your point of view on that?
Okay, let's have a look at the data. Okay, let's have a look at the data. So first of all, what we know, that countries that did not have quarantine, like Taiwan, countries that did not close the whole universe, did not have dramatically worse situation, but they actually had a better than average situation. Okay, I'm not counting Taiwan that had, like, I think 6 deaths out of 12 million people. Yes,
It's amazing.
Never mind.
Yeah,
it's not amazing. They just, yeah, I will not get into why, etc. It's a fact. I'm not looking for why. Okay, good.
Yeah.
So number one, statistically, quarantine did not help. Okay, why? Quarantine is not going to fix a virus, but I don't think that that was the intention, to handle the virus by quarantine. The intention was not to flood hospitals with people, but the hospitals were not even remotely close to being overwhelmed, not even remotely close. Specifically in Israel, where I have the actual numbers, Israel had a big, whoa, everything closed, like big, everything was under high, tight control. You're not allowed to go, you're not allowed to breathe, you're not allowed to do anything. Now, why? They basically tried to control the spread. They knew that it's not going to fix anything, but they want to control the spread so the hospitals will not collapse. Why? Because there's not enough breathing machines. Okay, good. So how many breathing machines there are in Israel? In Israel, there are in breathing machine, I think something around 2,000 and something. I don't remember the exact number, but I know it's around 2,000. I know that every person that get sick will need 15 days of a breathing machine, if those people that will need it, yes?
Yeah.
And the amount of people that actually got sick and the amount of machine that they actually use was something like 100 machines. Like, the order of magnitude is not there, yes? It's nonsense. It's true for every one of the countries. So number one, I see that the problem is the handling is not quarantine, because the quarantine don't actually help.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So what help? What help is to let people get infected, like any flu, and some people will die, and it's normal. I'm against it. Every person that dies kills me. But yes, every person that dies kills me. but
Yes.
But it's really, it's not good. But those people that die, people that at high risk, those people need to be protected.
Yeah.
Yes, but not shut down the whole economy.
Yeah.
Look, if you look how much money was invested in the coronavirus per country, divided that by the number of people that got sick and got to hospital to be handled, no one ever in history on any disease, no one invested so much per one person, per one sick person. No one can invest per one sick person so much. So in Israel, they invested, I think, something like $10 billion. This is what the coronavirus cost. So if I take probably 1,000 people go to the hospital and needed like treatment, so 10 billion divided to 1,000, how much is it? 100 million per person or more? It's like, what?
Yeah.
So you say, well, money is not important, but it's not true, because if money was not a problem, then every single person will be checked every year for prostate cancer and for heart diseases and we'll do scans and we'll do all of these things, which we don't know. We don't do. Why we don't do? Because it's not viable.
Yeah.
It's not sustainable, because even let's say that we're doing it for the coronavirus for now, $10 billion. You cannot invest another $10 billion and another $10 billion, another $10 billion while shutting the country and having no income. So from where?
Yeah.
It doesn't work. So to do something like that we know will not work and do not help is the definition of stupidity. It's really stupid. It's really stupid to do that. Why? Why will anyone do that? Because when people are afraid, they do something stupid. So when you're afraid, you need to know, don't make a decision while you're afraid. While you're afraid, don't make a decision, because when you're afraid, you don't see, and when you don't see, you will always make the wrong decisions. If you had the situation in your life where there was some kind of a disaster and you are afraid and you make a decision, you look back and you know the decision was the wrong decision, 100% always. Yeah. Always, no question. So when people tell you, look, it's dangerous, I'm afraid, even if the guy is the leader, he's still afraid. He's a human being. He's afraid. He's making the wrong decision. Don't make a decision when you're afraid. The only time that no decision is better than a decision is when you're afraid. Otherwise, any decision is better than no decision. With one exception, when you're afraid, when you don't see.
So how can people stop being afraid?
Look at the data. Look at the data. Someone tell you need a mask. Nonsense. You want to block a virus through the mask. You touching thing. The virus is all over. You touching thing. Okay, since you touch thing, the virus is on you. Since the mask is uncomfortable and you're putting it on, off, you want to talk, you take it off. You want to breathe, you move it. You touch yourself. You increasing the risk of getting the virus. And they say, no, but if you talk, the saliva will not go through. You don't need the saliva to go through. The virus is all over. It's been months. The virus is here, is all over. And if you don't understand it, you need to open your eyes. The virus is here. You don't need saliva to send it.
Yeah.
It's here. The virus is here and it's all over. And it's not going to go away. And it's not going to die, because the corona is here, and just realize it. And people live with AIDS, people live with heart attack, people live with accidents, people live with all of these things, and they don't close the economy and they don't go into fear. Why? Because no one promotes that fear. But if I would show you every day the bad accidents, the pieces of body that flying around from accidents, the families that get destroyed, and I will give you every day, billion time over 1 month, only how bad accidents is. I promise you, no one will get into a car. Or not no one. The same amount of people that don't go out and afraid right now.
Yeah.
Because fear fear, anyone that tell you to be afraid actually is not your friend. Because if someone tell you that you need to be afraid, he is afraid, so he doesn't see, or he's not afraid and he wants you to be afraid and not see. So he wants to control you, he wants to destroy you. So you want to know who are your friends? Your friends are those people that tell you, the hell with fear. Freedom is much more important than your health. Freedom is much more important than your health. Freedom before health, because your immediate body is not as important as your freedom, is not as important as your integrity, is not as important as what's the right thing to do. Because otherwise, why will we ever go to a war? Why will we ever fight over anything? Why will we ever fight for what is right and what is wrong? Because someone will come and say, well, I will kill you. And you say, okay, you know what, take everything you want. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work. It can be okay if it's just your pocket, yes, but it doesn't work with with a country. It doesn't work with anything that it's unreplaceable. And what we're doing right now is we're destroying countries. We're destroying whole countries. And in my viewpoint, it's when I look at the data, it doesn't make sense. It's totally based on pure stupidity.
Okay, so I follow you there, and I see that the statistics. You've taught me about that before, and I've looked at the numbers myself, and I've seen that you're right. It for a very narrow group of people, this is a very deadly disease. For high-risk candidates, there is definitely the risk of death. But for the vast majority of the population, there's nothing to be concerned with.
And even for this high-risk group of people, it's generally not so big risk. It's a small percentage if you check.
Yeah.
You see, what do you think they always promote? How many new cases there are, and they don't promote what is the percentage of the people that die from the overall population. Why they don't compare how many people die from this versus how many people die from all the other diseases in the universe? Because this is what will give you an order of magnitude. This is what will tell you, is it really dangerous? Because if I tell you 10,000 people die, is it a lot compared to what?
Yeah, how many people?
500,000 people die compared to what? If it is compared to 200,000, it's a lot. Yeah. If it's compared to 10 million people that die from going to visit the hospital, just visiting the hospital, from flu, from accidents, from lightning, from suicide, from depression, from incorrect prescriptions, these people die. The 10 to 15 million people die for no reason every year.
Yeah.
So, and then 500,000 die from coronavirus, which I don't think they die from corona. That's a different story. If you've seen the Corona Street number 4, they did not die from corona. I have zero doubt about it. When hospitals get paid for people that are on breathing machines, when hospitals get paid for more when someone dies from corona, there is an incentive to get money. So what's the problem? He died in any case. So he died from corona. And when the World Health Organization tells you that it's not really important, if you think he dies from corona, he died from corona. Even if he has cancer and AIDS and he dies from corona. If you don't believe, go and watch Corona Truth number 14, my video, and watch the data. It's so, the lie is so big that it's unfathomable. Like you cannot, like what? Yes, that's what's going on. So that's the truth.
You actually led into another question that we kind of talked about a little bit before, but I think it's still something that bears repeating or bears looking at again, because I've seen class after class of you, but like I said at the beginning of this, new cognitions all the time. So this idea of the source, like the CDC or the World Health Organization, we have a tendency, I guess, for whether it's easy or whether it's whatever, but we want to trust this data that we're being given because it's them. But it comes back to what's more important, the source or the data. Can you talk about that a little, please?
Yeah, when Israel has established the Prime Minister of Israel, his name was Ben Gurion. Everyone trusted him, everyone loved him. He was a very powerful man. And there was this lady next to him that became later on the next prime minister, or not exactly the next one, but she became the prime minister of Israel, and her name was Golda Meir. And when they asked her, do you trust Ben Gurion? She says, I trust him with closed eyes. But from time to time, I open one eye just to make sure that his eyes are open. Yes? So with those organizations, I trust them, no problem. But then I read what they say just to make sure that their eyes are open. And when I read and I see that they say something that is, if you don't have the ways how to test for coronavirus, and you think that the guy died from coronavirus, then he died from coronavirus, I say, hey, come on. If I see a strong push to put any person that died from anything as though he died from coronavirus, I said, I know, I trust them 100%. Wonderful, good people. I don't think that they're bad people. I just think that what they wrote there is stupid.
It's a different point of view of you have a certainty, and one of the things you teach others is how to develop that certainty for themselves of what is right. And a lot of people have this tendency to just trust, well, that this person has a degree or this person has a certificate or whatever, when if we actually just look at the information ourselves, we can analyze, we can look, we're capable of doing these things.
Just read. If you will actually spend the time to read these 11 pages, and if you don't have the time and you feel that it's too difficult, just watch the video. I do that in half an hour, and I clear everything, and I show you what it is. And if you just read, there's no conclusion. The communication is very clear. Whoever wrote that document has good English. He can communicate. He or she was very clear at what they wrote. And all I'm saying is this is what's written. This is what's was written. There's not two ways how to understand it. It's very clear. It's very black and white. And anyone that will act according to that instruction will bring an increase of about 60 to 70% of the number of deaths. So if someone told me that 100 people die from corona, probably 30. That's the real number. Probably, maybe less.
Yeah.
Now, go and watch this video that I've done. Corona's Truth, number 14, Meir, Ezra. It's on YouTube, if they didn't remove it. And you will find it. And it's very clear. There is no question about it.
Yeah.
The number of deaths worldwide, I don't believe that we have the right number. I don't say how much it is, but I know for sure it's not the correct number, because the instruction of the World Health Organization is causing people to give numbers that eventually mislead the public. And we spoke at Taiwan at the beginning. Taiwan is not part of the World Organization, so they don't count according to that system, and they have only 6 people that die. As good as they are in quarantining and in this, and which they didn't do quarantine the same way, but as good as they are, 6 out of 12 million people, what, the virus just know that he doesn't like sushi or something? What's the story there? you understand? It's nonsense. Obviously, there is something that do not make sense, and something that do not make sense is that this virus is not such a bad thing. Now, by the way, those people that are at high risk, it's so easy to handle them and to reduce their risk. It's like really easy. You improve their immune system. If you know how to improve the immune system, they will not get it. They will not get it. But let's, regardless, if they are at risk, protect them by all means. Yes, old people that protect them. Don't put them in quarantine, of course. The worst thing to do is to take an old age home and to put them in quarantine, because this is a jail, or that they have a death warrant, because they will die, because you put all the people with the high risk, and it's enough of one small virus will come in and you kill the whole society there. And that's what people did. They took old age homes and they quarantined them, but you cannot stop a virus from coming in.
Yeah.
You cannot. And that's what happened. The percentage in such a situation is much higher of dead people that die from the disease, because it's the wrong handling. Yeah. In such a situation, you need to spread them, not to quarantine them.
Okay, so, well, I'm with you that, to simplify, say that this was a bit of an overreaction. Let's not go into why that was done, but if it was an overreaction, then how should we move forward now?
Overreaction, yes. This is yours, so nice. Overreaction, destroying a whole society, robbing a society from its freedom, creating a financial disaster for whole industries that it will take 10 years maybe to recover. It's not an overreaction. It's criminal, I think. I think it's criminal. I think it's really bad. I think it's not okay. And I don't think that there is someone to blame here, but the people that agree to be afraid and to give up their freedom in 2 seconds because, oh, I'm afraid that something will happen to me. The problem is not the politicians. The problem is not the decision makers. The problem is we, the people. We, the people, agreed.
Yeah.
We, the people, agreed to be hypnotized by the TV and to believe to the insane vision and to become insane. The problem, I don't think that the problem is the politicians. I mean, I would expect from them for better decisions, but the politician really tried to read what the general viewpoint of the population, and if the general population is amenable for suggestions by the media, and the media job, or the media thinks that its job is to make you afraid, and if you go with that, you have a recipe of disasters. So we, the people, need to grow up and to understand the basic principles. Fear is never good.
Yeah.
Fear is a state of blindness. So it's never good. Anyone that sells you fear is actually a terrorist. Is trying to terrorize you so you will not do what he doesn't want you to do. What terrorists doing? Terrorists doing, they make you afraid. They're making a whole society afraid, so the government will give up. And the government did give up, yes. If terrorism if there will be a law that says you are not allowed to promote terrorism, whatever happened, when there is a terrorist attack or something like that, there is no one that you're not allowed to promote it. And if anyone doing that, he goes to 100 years to jail. Something like really bad, because this is worse than killing people. To make people afraid is worse than to kill them. A whole population, not one person. And if this was the law, you will see that terrorism will not be here. Because who are you going to make afraid? 5 people, 10 people, 15 people, 1,000 people? There's no effect. It's nothing. Terrorism strive on that everyone see. They have a message. You will become afraid, and because you're afraid, you will freeze, and because you will freeze, you will do what I tell you, and you will become stupid, and you will. If you are smart, you don't surrender. You don't negotiate with terrorists. You don't negotiate with terrorists. You don't negotiate with people that try to make you afraid. You don't negotiate with media that try to that make you afraid. So if the media try to make you afraid, I'm not watching that media. I'm turning them off. And you will see that you don't need to go against the government, because the problem is not really the government. The government is people. Who is the government? People that are also afraid. Also, they led from the media. The media tells them what's going on. They try to put a message through the media. They try to affect it. But the media, overall, the media tells them what to think.
Yeah.
So if you don't support media that makes you afraid, if there is just one thing that goes on, we will not tolerate fear. Fear, no. Like Me Too, come up with some kind of a smart line that say, no fear, no fear. Like Me Too, no fear, no fear, no fear, no fear. We don't want fear. What? Don't tell me. I will prefer, don't tell me about what's all the fear theories. But what if it's dangerous? No, don't tell me if it's dangerous. Show me the numbers, the true numbers. Don't tell me there is another 6,000 cases of coronavirus, because it's a lie. Because probably there's 600,000 cases new, and it's good because it's actually reducing the percentage of how dangerous it is. Yeah. So then don't tell me there's 60,000 more people that are positive to coronavirus. Tell me there's 60,000 people more. Actually, what it means that there's probably 6 million more people with coronavirus, which means that the death rate is reduced from 0.2% to 0.01%. Well done. That's what actually the story is.
Yeah.
But I tell you, there's 60,000 more in order to make you afraid. But the truth is, 60,000 people more is beautiful. It's the best thing that happened to us. Because 60,000, we know this is people that we check, because governments are generally useless, so they can check only 60,000. But the virus is more able than the government, and he is now spread it to 6 million people. Yeah. 6 million and 200 died. Beautiful, because 200 from 6 million is much less percentage than 200 out of 60,000.
Yeah.
And if you give the news correctly like that, not in an effort to create fear, don't make the news in an effort to create fear, but in an effort to bring about an actual data that someone can do something with, that he can think with. Now, we're talking about we the people have the power. But we don't give power to the governments, we give power to the media. And you need to be smart enough that when the media give you generalities, when they don't give you the full data, don't watch that media. Don't support the media. We want data. We want data. We want data, not evaluation. We want data, and the whole data, and not evaluation. And anyone that give us evaluation, we shoot him, not physically shoot him. Shoot him, like throw him away, yes? We don't want him.
So,
and by the way, everything I'm telling you have to be done within the law. I'm not suggesting to go against the law, and I'm not saying that as to cover my ass. That's not my purpose. I really think that politicians and the law is there to somehow put people under control when they're afraid. Yes? So I'm not just saying it just to cover my ass, and I actually mean that you should go against the law. No, never do something illegal. Yeah. Within the law, you can do everything. Everything. You can do within the law everything, and it will be effective. But you need to understand what's going on.
Well, okay, so there's two things that come out of that. The first one is I've known you long enough that this isn't the first president that I've known you for and to seen things. And, our previous president in the U.S. was President Obama, and his political ideas didn't lean the way I leaned. I was more conservative. But during that time, you said something to me that kind of changed my point of view, because when it first happened, I was not happy, yada, yada, yada. Well, your comment was once he's elected president and he's won, by the process that's supposed to be there. He's legally elected. Okay, now you support him. And that's kind of what you're saying here is you support the laws that are there. And whether it, because I've seen you saying left, right, it's irrelevant. You support the
government. Why? Because the government is representing the country, and I would be left or right during the election. Beautiful game. Blah, blah, blah. I'm very left. I'm only left. I'm only right. Blah, 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 whatever. Once we have a president, it's not important who he is. I will put all my heart to him.
Yeah.
I will support everything he will do. I will not put anything against him. I will do anything I can do. The only good things that you can do for your group is to support its leader. You know, I used to say that the best presidents in the universe are the taxi drivers, according to what they say. You go to a taxi driver and he will tell you, I will do this, I'll do that, I'll do that, I'll do that. He wants to teach the president what to do, but he cannot balance his checkbook. And 90% of society cannot actually manage their own finance, and they want to tell the president what to do. I think that once the president is elected, the only good thing you can do is support him for that period. Now, there is very, very, very rare exceptions. If he's doing something illegal, legally go against that specific action while supporting him as a president.
Yeah.
Because if you break that one thing, he's the leader, then you don't have a leader and you go nowhere. So you might be right, but you will go nowhere. The only thing that you can do, the only good thing that you can do for your own group is once you have a president, once you have a leader, he's the manager of a company. Forget about the leader. He's the manager. Right now, the only thing you can do is support the manager or leave the group. You don't want to leave your country. Go to another country, leave the business, find another business. But if you are in the business, you cannot be a Trojan horse. You cannot, while we are in the fight, you're helping us. There will come the time for the election, and then we will be two parties, and we will fight, and it will be one fun game. And I would say that, and you would say that. But the moment that this game finishes, you have a president, you support him.
Yeah.
100%, no question asked.
It's a different point of view. Like so much of us, so many people, and I used to do this myself, would define, well, I'm a Republican, or I'm a Democrat, or I'm a Libertarian, or I'm a this, or I'm a that. But it's like that is literally you're splitting the country into pieces, as opposed to saying I'm a part of this group and I want to see all the groups succeed, not just my little niche of the group.
Yeah, because it's not true that you are left or right or Republican and this. You're American, and now we are going for America. Yeah. Republican, Democratic, and all of these things is only for the period of the election.
Yep.
Only. A second after that, even if you are elected to the House or the Senate, a second after that, the only thing that should be in front of your eyes is what's good for America, not what is more left or what is more right. Not what's good for the party, what's good for America. What's good for the party only during the election.
Yeah.
Only during the election. The party is not important outside of the election, or is not as important as the government or as the country. The country is number one, and second is everything else. And if you don't know that, you will kill your own country. So you might win by giving a lot of headache to the president, but now he needs to handle this headache instead of doing anything.
Yeah.
So that's my viewpoint, and I see that happening again and again and again. I'm not in agreement with the handling of the coronavirus, but I don't go against the president. Whatever he decides, I'll go with that. I'll do what he says. I will support him. And within the legal system, I will put my views. Within what's legal, I'll put my view, but I will not go against the president. I will not go against the government. I will go against the media. Yes, I'll go against the media because the media is not the government. Media is not the president. I will definitely go against the media because if they are responsible, they will not be so eager to put bad news. Good people try to find the good news in anything and as much as possible to hide the friend from bad news, as much as possible.
Yeah.
Bad people, as much as possible, push bad news at you and hide the good news. If you look at the media, what they do, as much as possible, they put bad news and hide the good news.
Yeah.
Which means they're not my friend. They're not my friend.
Yeah.
The media is not your friend. You have to know that. By the action, I look just by the action.
Yeah.
What are they doing? Are they promoting? Are they trying to give me good news and protect me as much as possible from bad news? Or are they trying to push as much as possible bad news and to not show me any good news? By that, I know who they are.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about the media, and you've said repeatedly that the source isn't important, and I'm with you on that. Are you just the best there ever is at distilling the BS into relevant data and not, or are there some places that you're finding better data that you can look at? Do you know what I mean? Like I know the source isn't important, but there's so much BS that you have to sift through if you're going to read a newspaper, or if you're going to go on to CNN.com or whatever website. You know what I mean?
You don't need to. It's how do you know if data is correct or not? Does it make you afraid? Does it make you cause, or does it make you effect? If it makes you effect, it's lies. If it makes you cause, it has good intention and probably it's right. The general idea is if someone tell you you are effect, you are effect, you are effect, they're going against the basic truth of the spirit, which is I'm cause. I know. So when someone tried to convince you that you are effect, what they try to tell you is you dead, but I don't know, lately I checked, I saw that I'm still alive. Yes? So if someone tell me you're effect, I know he is lying. Now the question is, am I going to be stupid and eat the nonsense, or I'm going to say no? I am cause, and it cannot be that I'm so effect. It can be that I get a little bit hit here and there, but I'm not so effect, because if I was, I wouldn't be able even to understand what you say. So how do you know if what they tell you is right or wrong? Just look how much they try to tell you. Just take anything that they tell you. Are they trying to make you a cause or effect? They're telling me 3,000 people die in car accidents. Okay, why do I need to know that? And how can it be true? It cannot be true because there's nothing to compare to. 3,000 people over how many times? In which countries? Against how many? What is the number of population in this country? Against how many people that was traveled in this period? Give me some data of comparable magnitude. If you're just telling me 3,000 people died last year from accidents, it's telling me nothing. Because maybe the number of vehicles that got increased was 300,000 vehicles, just new vehicles. So 3,000, it's nothing.
Yeah.
So if they don't give you the full data and you feel that you're afraid because they don't give you the full data. Once they give you the full data, even if the data is bad, you will be able to do something about it. You will be caused. And when they give you just a piece of information, 3,000 people died in 1999, so what? What are you trying to tell me? It's nonsense. 3,000 says nothing. When will it say something? When I had the full picture, when I have enough data to evaluate. Is it big? Is it small? What's going on? And the full data mean how many people died last year? How many people died this year? Out of how many? What is the population? Out of how many vehicles? What was the increase in number of vehicles? What was the increase in passengers? Now, when I have all of this data, you'll see that it's nothing. Because the year before, there was 2,900 people that died. And yes, there was an increase, but the number of vehicles that increased in this year was 150,000 vehicles more. So for 155,000 vehicles more, 100 people more die, that's nothing. Excuse me.
Well, that actually brings up another thing that that I've seen you teach and has become a very key part of my life, and that's like, how do you determine what the right thing to do is in any situation? Because you're saying, well, if only 3,000 people died, but they had added 3 million people, is that a bad thing, or is that like, how do you determine what's right and what's wrong?
Okay, so the basic idea that people have to understand that right and wrong is a relative thing. It's right and wrong is a relative thing. What's the basic idea? Everyone on this planet tried to survive, yes? We all try to survive. Survive means to continue over time. Yeah. So we can conclude that anything that helps with that basic purpose of continue over time to survive, we can call it good. Good is what helps us to continue over time, okay? What helps us to survive. So I can say that in any situation, I need to physically count how many people and things it helps to survive, and how many people and things it don't help or destroy. And I do this comparison. And the more destruction there is in relationship to the construction, the worse the situation is. And when it's the opposite, it's really criminal, okay? So if I invent a drug that kills one person and save 10 billion people, it's a good solution.
Yeah.
It's not a murder of one person, it's a good solution. But if I create a drug that saves 1 billion people, that kill 1 million people, it's still a good solution, but less good. Yes? Because it's just a comparison. There is no black and white. There is no good or bad. There is only degree of good and degree of bad, and you need to play with that, because in this universe, the game is that for every plus, there is minus.
Yeah.
So if someone wants to find the perfect good solution, good luck, not on this planet. Maybe if he will go to the moon and sit there alone, I don't know. Even there, I'm not sure if he will be alone. That's a different story. So what's the right thing to do? We have the coronavirus. It's a new virus. Welcome to Earth. We need to just welcome him nicely, yes. It's here. We don't really like you, but you are here, so fine, whatever. You are here. So now we're counting. We have X amount of people that are going to die from the virus if we quarantine, and if we don't quarantine, we'll have Y amount of people that die. And we know that it's not really going to make much difference, but maybe a little bit more people will die. But on the other hand, we will kill so many people, so many businesses will go bankrupt, so many life will be destroyed, so many people will be destroyed mentally, so many people will die from heart attack, high blood pressure, and all those diseases that has to do with mental pressure. And you will see that the solution that seems I'm saving 10,000 people as a good solution is actually a very bad solution. Because if you start to count how many people die from the financial pressure, how many people die from the stress, how many people die from losing their businesses, how much pain you created, and how much debt you created, and how much people die from that, physically die, you will see that the solution of quarantining and closing businesses and saving 10,000 people, or even 100,000 people, or even 1 million people, it's not worth it. And the truth is, and even the worst is that the truth is that if you look at the World Health Organization documentation, you will understand that you didn't save really any significant number of people, because the number of people that die from corona worldwide, actually from corona, is not more than 100,000 people, even if I stretch it.
Yeah.
Not more than 100,000 people, even if I stretch it. My heart is crying and aching for each one of those, because each one of this person is a whole family, and it's not 100,000 people that's suffering. It's probably 10 million people that's suffering.
Yeah.
But it's better than 10 billion people that suffer. And that's it. It sounds almost cold, but it's true. That's the only way to survive in this rough planet. This planet is rough, and you have to act according to this basic understanding, because otherwise you will not survive.
Okay, that's amazing information. Thank you very much for it. I have my son asked me to ask you 2 questions, so
okay.
I'm willing to field other questions from people. If they next time I interview Meir, if you message me in Facebook, I'll be happy to ask those questions as well. But LJ wanted to know, what have you been saving back to teach your students that you haven't quite gotten to yet? And can he have the slides? I don't know where he got that last part from at all. Of
course. I wouldn't. Yeah. So what I'm saving is the next thing that I'm going to teach in the inner circle is more about universes and the possibility of other beings, and are we alone on this planet, and how can a person find by himself, not because he saw a UFO, are we alone here? Is there a way to actually know by yourself what's actually going on this planet, and why different countries fighting with each other, and there's some very fascinating thing. And slides, no. I love LJ, but slides,
I understand very much so. So we started off this conversation. I said I had some amazing wins from your last yoga class that you had done. I know you've got the link here at the bottom for visiting www.meirezra.com/yoga to sign up. You've got part 3 that's coming up on Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern. Is that correct, Meir?
3 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. South Africa, 10 p.m. Israel, and we're promoting it as yoga, or the secret path to you, the lost art of Yoga Sutras. And really what it is a way for you. What I'm going to teach in these classes, I'm teaching some basic truths, but the purpose of these classes is for you to learn how you can recover knowledge that you used to have and you don't have right now. Yes?
Yeah.
And in that case, I'm teaching about how to recover the knowledge of the Yoga Sutras, but it's actually how to recover any knowledge. Any knowledge. How can you simply know? How come someone is born and all of a sudden by the age of 3 he can play piano? How come that someone is born and all of a sudden he knows electronics? I was born at the age of 3 and I knew electronic. I actually knew electronic, and I started to fix radio, started to build the amplifiers and things like that. Which where from? I know about a child that born in some village in Israel, a village of Druze. They speak Arabic. There's no one there that speaks English. The child started to speak as a child, as a baby, English with a English accent, not American accent, heavy English accents, excellent English. He cannot speak Arabic yet. He's having a broken Arabic, but English, perfect English. How come? Where is it coming from?
Yeah.
And lots of other things like that. So you will learn where is it coming from and what can you do to tap into this secret power that every one of us have. And that's the Yoga Sutras, and it's amazing. Already people have wow winds.
Yes.
Like if you go to Facebook, or you'll see the winds are like out of this world. And we are only in the introduction. We didn't even start. I'm still in the introduction. It's lesson number 2, and I'm still in the welcome part, because there's so much fake reality. Fake reality is a piece of information you are 100% sure is true, but when you use it, it doesn't bring the expected results. So I need to first of all show you how to spot your own fake realities and remove them, and then you can do what you need to do.
Yeah.
So that's the story of the secret path to you, the lost art of the Yoga Sutras.
I'm not a huge yoga guy to begin with. I will tell you, the webinars have been incredible. Just absolutely. You are able to deliver content, and no matter if somebody's brand new to you or if they're a wizened vet that's been with you for 7-8 years, we all see things that we recognize some of those fake realities, and they vanish, they move, they are gone, and we're more ourselves. And it's really amazing and wonderful. And I can't highly recommend what you're doing enough to others. And tip of the cap to you, good sir. You're just the best.
Thank you. Thank you. I love you. Thank you. Thank you everyone for watching, and thank you for everyone that will watch it. And if you have any questions to ask me, you can just send me a private message on Instagram. So Meir Ezra official on Instagram, and I'm always answering. Always, you will always get an answer. Anything that you need, any problems that you have, any questions that you have, ask me and I will help you. I don't promise you that it will be what you want, but I do promise you it will be what you need. So see you on Sunday, 3 p.m. at the Yoga Sutras. I wish it was the yoga, how does it call it? Kama Sutras, yes, it should have been Yoga Sutras with the name.
That's the next one. That's the next
one. Okay, thank you, John. Thank you very much. And thank you, Kapil. Thank you, Amit and Swapna for helping setting it up. Thank you for Shamaya for being the conductor of the whole thing in the background, and Gali for helping me. And for you, John, and for everyone that watched, thank you, thank you, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Love you.
Love you.